Howdy everyone, it's Jake here at Walkie Farm. We're at Wamagama, the home block, and I've just got home from doing jobs in town today. Our farm is 30 minutes north of Albury, which is where our butchery is, and also close to a couple of our other leases. So I go into town almost every day, drop the kids off at the grandparents for a sleepover, and then Mrs. Walkie and I just crunch out the work, the emails, the cleanup, all the jobs that are a little bit more challenging with homeschooled rug rats walking all over you. I'm coming down the long way because I want to check their water. It's getting warm, it's getting close to 30 degrees. You can see this paddock, this laneway I pushed them up 5 days ago or 6 days ago to graze the top. You can see how much it's dried off. There's going to be very little recovery. Now, compared to these paddocks that we strip grazed, we would have been there almost a fortnight ago. And a bit of greenery, mainly what's still growing, even though we had them mobbed up pretty tight, is the undesirables, but I'll take any biomass recovery quite happily. And you see in the paddock up the top there, I'll take you all up there one day. That's our bush block. It's about an 80-acre paddock, and I was initially not going to run any animals in that paddock because there's no infrastructure to graze them nicely and to encourage a recovery period, etc. And when I took the animals out that came with the property, it just absolutely filled up with kangaroos, heaps of them. And I thought, well, they're doing all the damage that I could be doing. I know it's probably not the most Puritan way to look at it. And then I went and got some steers. So up there's 10 Frisian Angus first cross steers, so a dairy breed byproduct. Hey guys, Talani. And put them in, and when they turned up, most of the kangaroos left. So that's been relatively gently set stocked. Gelato. Hey Scoop, you look full. You're gorgeous. Yeah, you're slicking off. You're a late one to slick off. Must be from this climate they came from. You can see the branding. It's got the Henham branding on it. We don't do any branding here. That's Edwin still used to doing that. It's a legal requirement, I believe, for the Africans, South Africa. Anyway, those Frisians, I'm going to send them all off to market this weekend. Not to market, for internal processing. Like I said, there's 10 there. I did some very good buying September last year because the market was crashing. Everyone was running out of grass. And I bought about 60 head of cattle. And that was 10 of them. I got them for about $80 each, plus haulage. So they're time to go, and the reason I'm getting rid of them is I want to leave a little bit of a stockpile in that paddock. I know once they go, the kangaroos might turn up, but I'm going to turn my surplus bulls out. I'm going to use that paddock to store 4 or 5 bulls of different ages. Come on, darling. And I can't let those Frisians fully mature either, because if I do, they'll be so tall and heavy that the abattoir, the only real option I have locally, will reject them. They'll reject animals for 2 reasons. One, too tall, because as they go along the chain, that's what they call the production line, they'll drag on the ground, because Frisians are an exceptionally tall animal. And 2, they'll be too heavy. They don't accept anything over 600 kilos live weight. So at the moment, they're probably not much more than a year old, and I'll think they'll dress out low 200s, and we won't get cuts out of it, but we'll just make mince and sausage and diced beef. I just stopped here because I wanted to show you this thistle. Guys, I got them in a 5-day paddock. They've got quite a lot of different grass to choose from. You can see it's a lot bigger paddock than what I usually get them, and they haven't touched all the thistles, but for some reason that thistle copped a hammering. It had something they wanted. This stand in here is really interesting, and I fenced it off because it's a riparian area, and I like to really control my animals' movements in areas that hold and carry water for reasons that go hand in hand ecologically and in terms of the health and welfare of the animals. I don't like to let my animals go potty in the water they drink out of. We just pump that same water to them and keep them out of mucking in it. But look at this. This is the only perennial on the farm. It's beautiful phalaris. And I'm really looking forward to it setting seed, which this seed's going to be mature any day now. And hopefully we get a bit more around the farm. And I will graze it, just maybe every second time we come through this paddock. Look here. There's a briar rose that's coming up in this paddock. Now I know I said I'm going to keep these in my little riparian areas, but I'll probably hack these out of the paddocks because we don't want our pastures returning to bushland so much. Anyway, we're here for Princess to check the calf. Everybody wants to see the calf. There's Princess. But where's little calf? And Kaya, he's got his eyes on a new lady. There's the calf. See the little one? Who are you butting up to? Every day he's got a new girlfriend. That's one of my Jersey first crosses. Everyone's looking pretty good at the moment, hey? It's a good time of year. I know the grass is drying off, and I spoke to a neighbour today who has horses and very disappointed about the season we had. I don't know any better. I still haven't been on this block for 12 months, but everyone's very disappointed with the lack of rain, and that's a good poop. That'll do. So even though there's not much feed coming through, the feed quality itself is pretty good. There's one of the F2s. And here's Princess. She's got good milk. Looks like her... Oh no, she's got milk in all 4 quarters. I was going to say one looks dry, but that just would have been the most recent feed, I would imagine. But this is Princess. She was born the 3rd of June 2023. She's a very young heifer. She's Nandi's daughter. So that black cow there's her mum, and that little red heifer there's her sister. Nandi's intercalving period between those two was the longest she's had. And this calf is now 3 days old. Moving pretty well. Guys, it is the tiniest calf I have ever seen. It is absolutely tiny. But what would you expect out of such a small heifer? To give you an idea, Princess here is all basically the same age as my first cross shorthorns here. Very, very similar. And you can see the size difference in that first cross to purebred comparison. I hesitate to even take a stab at her weight, but if Tulani here, where are you, Tulani? The beautiful crowned horns. Where is she? There she is. Tulani there is about 380 kilo. I got her pedigree. She's 5.5 years old, and when she was sold off from the start at 4.5, she weighed 384. So she's not 400 kilos. You know, Princess here, if Tulani's 384, Princess is not much over 300. Princess has shown me no aggression. She's never been the tamest of my animals. Probably just slightly flightier. As you can see, she's quite comfortable. Beautiful little calf there. Quite comfortable, but I've never been able to pat her. I can get a lot closer to her mum. Now, here we have a first time heifer at 17 months old, natural calving, no assistance, no improved pastures, just grazing pasture stand. And then this is her mum, Nandi, who is 10-year-old. You can see in her tag there from Hen Hemaguni. She was the 8th calf of 2014, so she would have been born early 2014. Look at the gut on her. She's a gut capacity champion. And she's raising this heifer calf here. which is her 8th calf. Exceptionally good. And so what do we do with this little bull calf? Well, folks, the Nguni genetics, geez, that's a nice compact little unit, isn't it? Who are you? Oh, you're the new one. You're the new Nguni. Beautiful. I thought that was one of my first crosses for a second. I thought, geez, I haven't noticed my first crosses looking that good. They've normally got longer legs. Well, that explains it. Well, like I was about to say, we don't generally castrate our Nguni bulls early because there's so few animals in Australia. We let them get a bit bigger before we make our decisions because, you know, we're scrapping for genetics here. But out of a pedigree like this, I'll do a bit of testing and see who the father of that calf was. We'll send the tail hairs off for a DNA sample, but in all reality, it is, I'd have to check my timelines. It's almost surely that little bull calf's father is Bomvu. Bomvu is a calf out of Gugu here, another one of my mature 10-year-old Nguni. This is Gugu, another big gut. Hey, darling. And that's Gugu's little heifer calf there. Gugu is also 10, also rearing her 8th calf. And her 5th calf was Bomvu. So we've got Princess there, whose mum has 8 calves at 10 years old. And Princess's sire for that calf that's feeding there is from a cow that's 8 calves at 10-year-old. And Princess herself has calved down naturally with no issues at 17 months. That little bull calf, he could be a beauty. So all we need to do now is really see how long Princess takes to cycle back. And if she has a calf within the next 12 months, I think we could be onto a nice little cow and a potentially nice little bull calf. Anyway, we don't just look at these things alone. We're going to see how this little fella grows out. He is tiny. What do you expect? In the Australia Nguni WhatsApp group, there's been a lot of discussion. I posted a photo of Princess here. A lot of discussion around best practice and how old should your heifer be before you join. It's very Western thinking. Get them to 18 months old before you put a bull in so the calf grows the fastest, you know, yada, yada, yada. And one of the comments, which I'm not picking on, but just one of the comments was, I've heard that if you breed them too early, they never reach their full potential. And I said, what is the full potential? Like, what do you mean they never reach their full potential? If they can have a calf at 18 months old and hopefully give you a calf every year after that for 12 years, let's say, what potential has that animal not reached? And of course, the conventional thinking would say the potential they have not reached is full maturity, full size. So the thinking and the reality, I guess, is that a very early calver like this might end up being a bit stunted and be a bit of a smaller animal. And because of that, they might produce a bit less milk and their calves might not end up being the biggest animals. Well, guys, we're trying to breed them small. We're trying to get away from big animals. I'm doing yard work next week with my shorthorns, and I've got to weigh them to draft out the ones that are under 600 kilogram live weight because my abattoir won't accept them. And I'm going to destock most of my shorthorns just because of the nature of the season and a few other things I'm doing in the background. And I'm going to have to possibly sell some of them into the commodity market because the local abattoir that does our private kills will refuse them. They'll reject them. I'll truck them there and they'll give me a phone call and tell me to truck them back. And then if they turn up at the butchery, my butchers will crack the sads and they won't want to deal with such a large animal. Oh, I love this third cross heifer here. Can't wait to see what you do. I think she's going to be I get just as excited about this heifer here as I do my purebreds, really. She was born on my place November 22. I've said a few times she should have been with a bull already, but just logistics and life gets in the way, right? Smaller cows means more cows. And for my business, which is completely divorced from a commodity market setting, works just fine. I actually do tend to notice a bit of a trend towards people either consciously or not preferring the smaller cuts. You know, our meat comes with a certain price tag associated, and a packet of 2 really big Scotch fillet steaks might be a bit overwhelming. But if they're more of a tame size, the size you get out of an animal like a Jersey Rangoon, there's less sticker shock. Because a lot of people don't buy weight, and they don't buy on dollar, they buy on portions. 2 Scotch steaks, whether they're 250 gram each or 400 gram each, that's what these people are going to eat for dinner. They're going to have one each. And people don't really think like this, but whether you've got a 400 gram steak or a 200 gram steak, like I said, they're just going to eat one. And they'll bulk out the meal with other sides or whatever it is. I'm not saying people should eat less meat. I preach the opposite, but fiscally, this has been a reality I've observed over the last 5 years. Here's 2 of the new girls. I can't remember the name of this one sitting, but you're the only cow on its belly. I'm sure you're fine. I'm just being a worrywart, hey? You just chilling out? I'm gonna make you get up, aren't I? Hey? You're fine. Fat and fine. Good girl. Beautiful, guys. You have a great day.